Hello and welcome back to another episode of In the Game podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Clinton, managing editor at heartlandcollegesports.com. Before we get into this episode, guys, if you like the show, please just consider subscribing. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes or Spotify, wherever you're taking in the podcast. But also, we've got a YouTube channel. Go over and check out the In the Game podcast YouTube channel. That's where you'll find our exclusive interview with Matt Brown of Extra Points. We did that last week. Make sure you guys are checking that out. And we are going to cover all things college football 25 over there. So make sure you're checking that one out as well. Guys, there's a lot of stuff that happened this week. We've got a lot to talk about. Some stuff that happened just 20 minutes before I hopped on to record this podcast on Monday night. But we've also got some things from last week that we want to cover after we spoke with Matt Brown, and that's where we're going to start. The episode last week was strictly an interview with Extra Points publisher Matt Brown. We had a lot of stuff just come out of that. He's been the guy whenever it comes to college football 25, and he even went into how that came to be, which was quite an awesome story. But a few things that I took away from that episode is where we're going to start. First thing is some of the game modes that we talked about. So Matt was only at liberty to say he knows for a fact and can talk about without restriction that there are a select group of game modes. Dynasty is a game mode. Road to Glory, you've got Ultimate Team, and then obviously you've got Exhibition. I asked him point blank about the mascot mode, which is something that was in previous iterations of the game. He couldn't confirm that, but he did say, he did kind of seem to play in the gray there a little bit, and say that there may or may not be other game modes. He's not sure, and he's not really at liberty to speculate given how close he is to the situation, which I totally respect and understand. I'm curious to know what other game modes there might be. It wouldn't surprise me at all if mascot mode made its way back into this, back into this game. Thought that was really cool. Another thing with the game modes, or kind of ties into that, was we talked a little bit of speculation on cover athletes, and that's not something that anybody really knows for sure. They're keeping that very close to the vest, but Matt was pretty confident in the possibility of there being some regional covers or maybe different options for people to choose from, which is cool. And we'll see different covers, because there's going to be an ultimate version, or the higher pay level version where you're going to pay $100 for the game instead of just 70. There will be an upgraded version of that, as there is with almost every game at this point. So I would be very shocked if that's not the case. But we'll just have to see how that plays out. But maybe regional covers, maybe just a difference in the standard game versus the upgraded version of the game. Nonetheless, there's very likely to be more than one cover athlete, or at least cover person featured on the cover. So interesting notes there. Next thing, brand new IP. Those are the words that Matt used as far as EA Sports is concerned with this game. This is brand new IP, brand new game. They did not just build this game on the bones or on the shell of Madden. This is a whole new entire game in and of itself. And he talked about the misconceptions out there whenever it comes to this game being built on the same engine as Madden. Just because the game is built on the same engine does not mean that it's the same game. It doesn't mean that it's remotely the same game. You can use Frostbite for several other different kind of games out there. As he mentioned, Plants vs. Zombies was built on the Frostbite engine. Battlefield was built on the Frostbite engine. So this is not something that you can really. It doesn't. There's no the speculation there. There's not a lot of merit to there being a worry for this game being exactly like Madden. The other thing that he talked about was, which I thought was interesting. This game is also not just a carbon copy of NCAA 14, which I think a lot of us just kind of had that in our minds, right? That this was going to be a bigger, better version of what we've seen from college football revamped over the last few years. And that's not what this is. It's going to be its own game. It's its own standalone game. And that's an important thing to note, because all of the fandom and all of the following that we've seen from NCAA 14 over the years has been fantastic. The community that has stuck around with college football revamped has been huge. And those fans will more than likely carry over very fluidly to college football 25, but it is going to be a different game. And so, have your expectations, or maybe even better, a lack of expectations for this game. Don't go into this expecting it to be Madden or to be college football or NCAA 14. It's not going to be either of those. It's its own thing. And I think EA is really trying its hardest to brand that as such. They want this game to be its own separate entity from anything that's been put out there to this point, which is exciting. Then you talk about all the things that they have done, all the time that they've put in trying to make this game feel different from anything else out there. The game day experience that is being built. It feels as if that's almost been the focus. This is kind of a not a swan song, but a culmination of love and pageantry in college football that is really what brings out the best in that sport versus the professional game. And I think that that's really what EA is trying to capture there is those traditions, those game day traditions and things that differentiate from one another on every campus across the country, where you have a different feel and a different environment at every game. And I think that EA is really focused on that. And they've done a good job, at least in as far as marketing goes, in capturing kind of the feel of those things, not only just with all of the assets that they're asking for from every program, but you also throw in the names that they're adding to the game whenever it comes to media personalities. I mean, even David Pollock, who's not a part of college football or college game day anymore, he's still going to be in the game. And so you're adding validity almost by adding names like him, like Kirk Herbstreit, like Jesse Palmer. You've got all of these different groups or different guys that are going to help cover this game, and it's going to add to that feel. And then obviously ESPN's going to be involved in this heavily, considering all the names from ESPN that are involved. So it's going to be fun. It's going to have a really great atmosphere, great feel, and I think it's awesome that has been such a focus for EA to this point. That's very, very promising. And then the last thing, we'll kind of use this as a segue as well, is the emphasis on customization that EA is putting into this. So, Matt did a really good job of separating himself from that team builder word. That's a hot word, or a hot button topic right now. Will team builder be in this game? Which, if you're unaware, team builder was this just a fantastic, kind of almost ahead of its time part of NCAA 14 and previous games where you could build out your own team with your own logo and your own uniforms, and you had like these presets that you could use, and it was really fun. It was an interesting way of creating like your own university to compete with the others that are already in college football, and it was a lot of fun. Well, there's an opportunity now for EA Sports to do something like that. Now, will we actually be able to build new uniforms, new teams, new stadiums, will you be able to do that? We don't know for a fact, but he did say that there is a heavy emphasis on player customization as or user customization in this game. So what that means, what that actually entails, we don't know quite yet, but it is exciting to note that that's such a big part of this. So, if user customization is a big part of this, then that would at least mean some version of maybe team builders is an option there. And if not, just a crazy amount of customization when it comes to player customization. What kind of helmets can you use? What kind of shoulder pads? What kind of gloves and cleats and socks? And can you use can you have the jersey rolled up, or can you have pants with no knee pads like we see across the sport right now? Will those things be in the game? Will you have backplates showing? Will you have customizable backplates for the players, which has become a big thing for skill players? There's just so much that could go into that, and I think it's very important to note that those are things that are at least being discussed, things that are being talked about in the community that are wants, and EA has seemingly done a good job in at least addressing those and taking in what the community wants in this game, and from what we've heard and seen, it seems like to this point that's been very positive from that perspective. So, and then another thing with customization is conference realignment. We know for a fact that that's in the game. They're trying their best to make this feel like the 2024 season. They want EA Sports College Football 25 to feel like the 2024 season. So you'll have the conferences aligned as they will be at this time, but there will also be the ability to move those things around and maybe create those super conferences that we all seem to think is coming down the pike at some point. And that's going to be a big part of this game and a big part of the future of this game. So lots of fun, lots of things that came out of that episode. I can't wait to have Matt back on again. He was such a great interview, and it'll be fun to discuss some things with him whenever it comes around. Now, using that as a segue, we do have some news or some things that have happened over the last several days. The first of which is with regard to some of the equipment that might be customizable in this game. We saw Vice's the helmet company. They announced that they would be in the game with a couple of their helmets, which was pretty awesome. And then you also saw Shut, a competitor to Vice's. They also announced that they would be in the game almost simultaneously. So you have different companies already announcing that their products will be in the game, which is cool. Lots of fun, lots of things that go into that. And those helmets have become very, very popular, not just among college football players, but also players in the NFL. We've seen it from there's several guys in the NFL that are using Vice's helmets. George Kittle's the first one that comes to mind, just because his is so much different. But anyways, yeah, we see that, and that's going to be a part of the game. And again, it's just another layer, another thing that adds to the realism of this game and what everybody's so excited about. So that's a big one. I think probably the last two things we're going to talk about are really the two biggest stories that have come out since our last episode on EA Sports College Football 25. The first is what happened Monday morning, what dropped Monday morning, was EA announcing that over 10,000 players that had reached the 10,000 player threshold for players that have opted in. They've had over 10,000 players opt in to this game already. And that's such a big deal because when you think about it, there are just over 11,000 scholarship athletes or scholarship college football players out there, and EA is trying to build an 85-man roster for each of these programs, all 134 programs. Their goal is to have an 85-man roster. Well, with over 10,000, they've already reached the 87% mark. They're almost 90% of the way to getting the players that they wanted. And their goal is to have every player in the game or every big name player in the game that they can, because obviously it adds to the realism. It adds to the experience of the game, and that's the big thing. So it's exciting because you've already got these big names. They're already that close to meeting the goal, and you're just over. They told ESPN, EA told ESPN that they reached the 10,000 player mark on Friday, which was less than 8 days after they opened up the floodgates and allowed players to start signing on. So in less than in less than 10 days, right at the 8-day threshold, you've got guys, 10,000 players have already signed on. Like that just goes to show you how excited these players are to be a part of the game. And Daryl Holt, who is the senior VP of EA Sports, he actually had a statement that he shared with ESPN that I thought was interesting. He said the response to the athlete opt-in opportunity for EA Sports College Football 25 has been phenomenal. In a little over a week, over 10,000 athletes across FBS have opted in to the offer, with more saying yes every hour. We're excited to welcome more athletes in the weeks ahead and to debut this first class of athletes in the game when it launches this summer. So again, the main point, the main takeaway, what everybody's so excited about from a player perspective is just being in the game. Like, this is going to be the group of players, the class, if you will, that's bringing this game back. It's finally bringing back this franchise that we all grew up with and played and helped us get through the off seasons, and now they're able to bring it back, which is exciting. So that was the first big piece of news that hit on Monday. The second was about a certain player deciding he was going to opt out of the game, which of course he was, because that's just it's on brand. It's on brand. And, I won't bury the lead too much. Arch Manning decided that he was going to opt out. He's opting out, says that he wants to focus on playing football on the field. He's really focused on playing on the field and doesn't, he doesn't have time to spend. Arch Manning doesn't have time to spend playing college football 25. He doesn't have time for his virtual self to be in the game. So he's decided to opt out of that. So yeah, take that for what you will. I don't know exactly what he means by saying he's focused on playing football on the field, but yeah, he's decided to opt out. So obviously this is the biggest names that's come out and said, I'm not going to be in the game. He'll have multiple opportunities going forward to be in the game. I would imagine when he is a starter, it probably looks a little bit different. My 2 cents on the deal, he doesn't want to be in the game because he's sitting behind Quinn Ewers on the depth chart, and he probably doesn't want to be a 79 overall. I call it how I see it. That's what I see. This is it's probably a little bit different next year if he becomes a co-favorite or a favorite to be on the cover of the game. Then I'm sure things change a little bit. But for now, if you're hoping to start a dynasty in Austin and have Quinn Ewers for your first year and then Arch Manning take over afterwards, you're going to have to find a way to create him in the dynasty mode. You're going to have to find a way to to create a guy that looks like Arch Manning. You're not going to be able to create him exactly because that's against the rules. But as we all know, there's a way around things, and there always has been. That's part of the roster management that we've seen over the years with these games. So his name may be Archibald Danning, and he may be the same exact size as Arch Manning, but it's not him. It's not him. So don't worry about that. That's he's different. It's not his actual likeness. So I guess $600 and a copy of the game wasn't good enough for Arch. So it is what it is. I mean, guys, like I said, we're already right at around the 90% threshold. This game is happening. It's something to be excited about. And really, honestly, I'm ready to start talking about some of the. I'm ready to start talking about some of the finer details of the game, like ratings and what offenses, what defenses I'm looking forward to using. And those are going to start. We're going to start talking about those kinds of topics in the coming weeks. But as the news continues to pour out about this game over the last couple of weeks, we kind of have to stay on top of it, and that's what we're doing here. So, really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen in and tune in on the YouTube channel and help us keep this thing rolling, guys. It's so awesome to be able to cover a game like this in depth and to be able to bring the information to you and bring my 2 cents with it. So really enjoy these podcast episodes and have really enjoyed the beginning to the In the Game podcast. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for supporting the show and keep doing it because I want to keep doing these episodes. And as long as you keep listening, I'll keep making them. So that's going to do it for me tonight, though. Thank you guys once again. If you like the show, just remember, if you could just subscribe, leave us a good rating, 5-star rating, if you feel we deserve it. And that's just going to help keep us rolling. But for now, I'm going to wrap things up here, and we will catch you guys next time.